smells us. He's looking behind him.
Easter Sunday, you guys. Happy Easter. It's funny the different messages that a lot of these dates in the calendar have turned into. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Like I saw a poll the other day, and they asked the poll what was the main message of the Easter weekend for people today, and one of the options was chocolate, and the majority of people said chocolate. What the hell? Hey, you gotta sit down. There you go. She's a little frustrated. She's on her little leash I got attached to the wall here. So if I don't, she's gonna go out and chew up everything out in the shop, which isn't too cool. There's absolutely peeing rain out there. Peeing rain badly. It's ruined all my plans. Ruined my plans for steelhead fishing. And my time for steelhead season is coming to an end. She doesn't want to be right there, I'll tell you what. She wants to run around. We already had our little playtime. What else before I start babbling? Received an invite to go into the woods with some men. Oh no, my toe. With some very skilled, professional, what do you call them? Forestry techs, outdoor techs, and real world techs, real world professionals in my eyes. That'll be me. I just confirmed I am going to join up with them and go into some of these places with them where they see lights all the time. They've seen the hairy people. They feel the pressure. The whole gamut. But it happens to them all the time, and I am going to go in the woods with them. I will also be accompanying some native hunters not too far from the same time as they hunt grizzly bear. I'll be going with them, so I won't be too far away during the same time. So the month of May is going to be a little adventure. Okay, come on, you got to lay over here, not against the tripod, okay? Come here. What are you doing? Lay down, lay down. So yeah, so month of May should be pretty adventurous and exciting. We're going to film everything. I always film everything, but we're also going to have to sit down with a bunch of people who are absolutely familiar with what's going on in the forest, and they are in no way connected to any of these cheese bag groups or not the tripod. Puppy, come over here. These are honest, aware, intelligent men who spent their entire careers in the real world, ranging from the Northwest Territories all the way down through to southern Canada and more, I'd imagine. So I'm really looking forward to that time. What else? A little off topic, but on topic. I might have shared this time here in the past, but there's probably who knows how many 100,000 people here since I might have mentioned this part of my ride, but so you understand why I keep doing this. Obviously it's for the like-minded people who share all the same passions as me, people who do and love all the same things as me, and possibly who knows how many of those people who've had their time, their fair crack at a fun ride stripped from them because they did not have any inkling about what was really going on out there. And that's a big motivation for me. And so you understand how my attitude works with it, and how I've got to where I am with this topic now. Years ago, the first time I was ever exposed to the internet, or had an online presence. I'll tell you this story. This is a story from me. I was after this monstrous black-tailed buck. Been after him for a while. And I think I only had one trail camera at the time, and back then they weren't even that good. But it was all based on what I was finding: tracks, rubs, shed antlers, the whole 9 yards, which most guys usually do. And I harvested him. I got it. I got the buck. It was a monster. And a friend of mine at the time, he was a moderator on a hunting forum at the time, Hunting BC. Hunting forum. I think it's still up and going. And he goes, "Hey man, everybody on Hunt BC is going to want to see this. You should post it up." And I go, "What?" I didn't even know what a forum was. I just had a flip phone. Everybody else had the other phones. I was one of the last of the Mohicans to give in. Actually, my friend from Alabama, when we were in Alaska, he got frustrated with me. He goes, "I'm buying you one of those damn phones. You're getting up to date with technology." That's how far behind I was, right? We were looking at Anchorage trying to find me an iPhone. Anyway, he posted up the photo of this huge buck I got, and obviously it created an insane stir on this hunting forum in British Columbia, because it was 2 days, one of the largest black-tailed deer ever recorded in the province. So, and he's showing me, he goes, "See all these numbers?" And I go, "Yeah, so many people are seeing this right now." And I'm like, "Oh wow." I'm like, "Really, this are all people?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, that's a lot of people." And at the time I was learning a lot about conservation, self-taught, doing what I could for conservation due to some wolf explosions. Another topic, some may not agree, I don't care. And I thought, wow, this is a great place to share knowledge on how to deal with an explosion of wolves, especially when they overlap, human dwellings, etc. So I joined. And then I went on there as Pro Guide 66, which a friend of mine who was a fisheries officer years ago, he was the very first person that showed me the internet and said, "Hey, we got to get you an email." I'm like, "An email? What for?" "Well, you need to get email." Because what's your handle want to be? And I'm like, "I don't know." And I was just a full-time guide at the time, so how about Pro Guides? How about Pro Guide? My birth date, 66 or something. Pro Guide 66. Okay. So that's how that handle came about. It was my first email. And then you needed a handle on the hunting forum, and I used that. That's what I just had. I've had it stuck with me forever. I think still today, if you typed in Pro Guide 66 now, pages come up. Anyway, what I'm getting to, I know I'm babbling, but this is kind of interesting. So I went on there, and then I started creating threads, helping people. I wanted to share my knowledge that I had and help people. I wanted to help people learn how to find a big old mature past their prime deer, or sheep, or moose, or elk, or everything. I just wanted to start helping people and give them knowledge so they can jump ahead and they can become more successful. And when outdoors people become more successful, then the younger generations around those successful outdoors people, they want to do it too. Co-workers, everybody. And that means more money for conservation. And that means more, it's a good thing. And so a lot of people are secretive, don't want to teach anybody, show anybody anything. Well, I don't show anybody my spots, but I like to share my knowledge. And that's how all this came about. Moving along. Eventually, some of the threads that I started would become the most watched threads in the history of the whole forum. Funny, right? And then somebody, not me, somebody, I never brought up the topic Sasquatch ever, and then somebody brought up the topic of Sasquatch. They created a thread titled Sasquatch. If you search, you can probably find this thread. And then brave people started coming out, they started tiptoeing into this thread. You gotta think, these are all A-type hunters in British Columbia. They're gonna be a little insecure, not sure if they really want to share, or maybe I should just laugh about this topic and feel it out. You can tell guys are slowly kind of feeling it out. And I'm like, so here's me. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. I dove right in. Excuse me. But then I noticed that a lot of guys were coming forward on that thread and sharing what they saw. I know it wasn't a bear. And of course it was the whole line of stories that we are all very familiar with here. Same deal, right? But then there would be a handful of guys on there that every single person that came forward, they would attack them and mock them and tell them what they didn't see and tell them what they actually probably saw. And my attitude by now, and that got me on fire. And I'm like, what? And then I noticed there's a couple individuals on there, and it was really weird. It was really weird for me to watch these people's reaction to this topic. They did not want anybody to talk about it. They didn't want anybody to talk about it. Anybody that posted on the topic on the thread, they went to attack him, trying to belittle him, trying to discredit him, trying to tell him, the human mind thinks it saw what you think you saw, but you didn't see that. This is this arrogant egomaniac psychopaths are speaking like this publicly. Isn't that amazing? And once I saw this character, which I had grew up around similar characters, I knew the traits of that dark character. And then my shitty attitude, I'm like, yeah, MFer, I'll get the last word in on this one, right? So every time he went attacking somebody, I'd go attacking him. And they try to say something back to me, and I say right back at him. And I vowed that I would get the last word in, and I will stand up for all these people, and I will be the voice for all these people, and these pricks will not be able to get away with doing this anymore. And I'm not going to stop, and I'm not going to shut up. And I just kept it going to the point we were getting, I think we had a few things taken off of the thread by moderators. Because back then too, I could get a mouth on me and get going, and I'm up for the fight. I was always up for the fight. Yeah, you want to fight? Okay. You want to get down and dirty and rude? Let's go. I've come a long way since then, you guys. So, anyways, but I wanted to note that I wanted to share with you my attitude on the topic, my attitude with the people who want you to shut up. My attitude with the people who change your stories around, who try to convince you didn't see what you did. The lying, dirty, filthy pricks. Right? And I want to share with you that my attitude with that department has been the same for a long time. Way before you all convinced me to come out openly about this topic here on this worldwide platform. Okay, just so you guys know. I've been like this, even worse than this, for a long time. So, yeah, I made sure I got the last word in. I stood up for the guys that needed to be stood up for, and hammered right back on those pricks. There's nothing that makes me more angry than somebody, when you see so many brave people coming out and being brave and sharing publicly what they saw for real, and sharing that knowledge and information, and then you take some prick over here who automatically knee-jerk attacks them and wants them to be quiet and uses every little filthy, sleazy trick they can to make that person shut up and try to make people not join in the conversation or entertain in any way and make it go away. So, I, not often, but I do think of those moments on that thread a lot while I'm here. Because it kind of makes me smile in a way where I start thinking back to those days and wondering if those pricks are aware of what's going on today, and I almost want to give them credit. Look what you did. Look what you guys did. You created this, and it's still going, and it's getting bigger and more popular, and it's not going away. Good work. assholes. Right? It's true. It's true. You give them credit. It's just like when I developed my hunting apps and I wanted to teach people how to hunt for real and without any of the lying and all the BS, because of the BS they're fed from mainstream people who represent hunting products and everything. You know, I was in the Yukon, one of the most popular hunting names ever in the world, and I saw when I saw what really goes on, how much of a sleaze bag this person really was, which was incredible. I left at his dog, said, "Ramping up your ass, buddy. I'm getting the hell out. I'll finish this hunt. I'm out of here. I don't support you or what you're doing here. I'm out." And it was because of that individual that I wanted to figure out how to teach all the people in the world the truth, how to teach them honestly and help them save money and focus on the knowledge and not products, not the bullshit. And it was because of that individual that possibly why I'm here with my presence with the hunting world. And the first time anybody had ever developed an app platform that worked without the internet. And I put on there all honest knowledge. And I didn't put any products on there at all. And it was my way of going, F you, to the people who peddle and promote BS for their personal gain. There you go. There's my little bit of a battle. Coffee induced, a little bit of Easter chocolate. But that is how and why we are here today, with the numbers here today, how the delivery is going, and how I will not quit ever. And the more the pushback we receive, the more the effort and the pushback I give. So I can't stop. I can't stop doing this. It doesn't matter what's going on. I can't stop doing this. And I had some people write in, "How do you think we're winning? You know, you said the other day that we're winning. How are we winning? How this channel is winning because do you realize how many people have come forward, quote, finally, end quote, on this place, your place, because of all of you. They finally found a place where there's like-minded people, free thinking, brave people who don't give a shit what anybody thinks. They're going to speak the truth right down to every fine detail, no matter how crazy it may seem. They're sharing it, and it's a safe place to do so. And literally tens, hundreds of thousands of people doing the same thing. Instead of these cheesy, misleading, embarrassing, not all of them, but a lot of these Bigfoot groups, especially in emphasis on the reality TV crews, all of them across the board, especially because of them. They have taken in the testimonies and the truth from so many brave people and turned it around and rammed it down their throats and twisted them, shut them down, belittled them, hid them from public view. We've got Dr. Melba Ketchum. She came out forward with true, honest knowledge of the DNA. And look what that group of people, especially that one prominent, such kind doctor, they all went out of their way to discredit. They did everything they could to make that study go away. And those are the shitbags that have been lens whores for quite some time. And they've done some dirty, filthy things, you guys. For real. Anyway. Yeah, I'm babbling. There's a lot on my mind right now this morning, especially because of a couple emails I received, some invites, what's been going on in the woods, what we're going to go see, do, film, and talk about. And it's pretty substantial for me. Sarah's not overly stoked. She said, "Well, what if you don't come back?" And I go, "I'm going to come back. Trust me." "Well, why do you do these things?" And I go, "Well, come on. We're all going to be dead anyway. We're all dying. And I am not going to lay in bed when I can't walk anymore, if I make it that long. And I'm not going to lay there wishing I did go do all these things. I'm not going to be that person. There's no way. I have that nonstop feeling I'm running out of time. I'm not scared. I'm going. I'm going to go to these remote, terrifying places, and I'm going to see and I'm going to learn. And whatever knowledge I acquire, I'm going to bring it back and I'm going to share with all of you. And I'm not going to lay on what may be my deathbed wishing that I did do it. That scares me. That scares me the most, is not experiencing every single thing I can before I can't, and learning all the truth I can before I can't, and I don't want to die and go, "Oh shit, you sons of bitches, you got me." I'm deathly terrified of that moment. I don't want that moment to happen. So I am going on I'm going. every chance I get. Obviously, that's how I've been rolling since you guys have known me. I'm going. Nothing can stop me. I am going to go. I'm going to go. I'm going to go see and experience, and I'm going to wrangle up all that first-hand knowledge that I can. As much as I can, I'm going to share it with all of you. At the same time, helping all of you that are doing the same to dump all that knowledge here and share it with the planet. Word for word. Typos included. Right? There you go. There is my big babble. It's been a lengthy one, but it's something I needed to... I don't even know if this is making sense by the time I get to this point with the camera rolling and I don't edit it out and I don't write it down and I don't rehearse it and I don't think too much about it. I just turn it on and let it rip. So that's what you have to deal with. Sorry. I hope it made sense. But there you go. In case any of you are wondering why's, the how's, how come, what's wrong with me, there you go. There's a few examples of why. I have a hatred, a deep ingrained hatred for bullies, beyond what a lot of you would possibly understand. Deep. And when I come across them, I will fight them to the death. Right? I will fight them to the death. And so you understand a little more of why this channel will not go away and I'm not going to stop. And I come across, when I say I am going to share every frickin' person's email, I mean it. I don't care. I don't think about how long it's going to take me, but I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. You will all be heard. As long as I have anything to do with it, you're going to be heard. I don't give a shit if it's repetitive. I don't give a shit if people come for some kind of entertainment, complain this is all the same shit. I don't care. It's not about you. That's the dog's tail on the tripod. She's a big dog. You're going to be heard. So on that note, enough of my babble. There you go. So you understand possibly a little better. Let's get into it and hear some voices. Alright, Adventure Dog has a shed antler that I gave her. So she's content to lay under my feet, chew away while I share voices. You're going to have to contend with her side noises. This is titled The Heart of the Adirondacks. Dear Steve, I hope I have the right email. I'm an Adirondack local. I have lived in upstate New York all my life. I live in Newcomb, New York. Your YouTube channel has made me think of a very strange moment I have had in my life. I have 3 strange moments I can remember, so I will start in order. The first situation I thought was extremely odd. I was 15 years old. I just got back from summer basketball camp at Syracuse University. Syracuse, been there. It was late and I was tired, so I made a couple corn dogs and headed to my room. As I was walking toward my room, a small green flash flew underneath my feet. It looked like a 2-foot being. It left a streak behind it. I dropped my corn dog, LOL, as I saw this being. It seemed to move through the walls, then out of the house. I ignored what I saw, telling myself I was just tired. I only thought of it again when you told a story of a little green man. Now, the story of the Sabe. It was the early summer 2011. Me and my father were driving 15 minutes to the next town over at Long Lake, New York. It was lunchtime and a beautiful sunny day. We were following a red Toyota Tacoma. As we came around a right-hand turn, about 150 to 200 feet away, was a jet black, bipedal being just standing in the road in the middle of the day. You could see it clearly. As the Tacoma stopped, we did behind it. This being was standing with its side to us. As we stopped, it turned and looked at our vehicles. It had a flat face. Its arms were down past the knee. It was not super huge, average man height, 6 foot. It had a torso and thin. After it looked at us, it turned slowly and went to get off the road. It took a step, and then the weirdest thing. It dropped down to use its arms, and then did a gallop off the road in no hurry. Its arms were so long a bear could never move that way. I've seen many black bear here. So, we get to the closest gas station and a forest ranger's there. Me being excited, I run and tell him. The man in the Tacoma in front of us was there also. I started to tell the forest ranger, and he just laughed and said I saw a baby Bigfoot. I looked at the man who was in the Toyota, and he just looked down and disengaged with me. Again, it's not until I found your channel this all connected for me. I knew I saw something strange, but never thought much of it. People laughing you off tends to make you throw it out of your mind. Last incident. It was 2021. I took my son camping on a small island on Lake Harris, our local town lake. Across from the small island is the state campsite. Lots of people spend their summer there. We spent 3 days out there, fishing, cooking dinner on the fire, just enjoying the outdoors. Excuse me. The beginning of the third day, we had to pack up. I woke a little after 5 a.m. Nothing woke me. I just lay there next to my son in the tent. Right after I opened my eyes, a slow-moving hand pushed across my tent. I wasn't scared, I just kind of stared at it. Curious but not alarmed. A few more moments went by and it started to rain. It rained until 3:30 in the afternoon. Me and the little guy had a boat ride back in the rain, lol, but had a great time. Tried looking around that island for tracks and I couldn't find anything. Also, I don't know what animal would walk out there crossing the water. My son the night before was making whooping noises across the bay to the campsite kids, but I don't know. Well, that's a load off my mind. I'm sorry for the book. I absolutely love the channel, and you have opened my eyes to a whole new world. Keep spreading the great honest truth. Member of the Club of No Return, Ryan Gregson. Go ahead and share it all. P.S. You're doing great saying Adirondack or ADK. I know it drives you nuts. Sorry for the grammar. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it, man. That doesn't drive me nuts. We just kind of make fun of all the New Yorkers it does drive nuts when they actually go out of the way to email me the proper pronunciation of one name in the whole world out of all these tens of thousands of emails. Kind of funny, isn't it? Anyway, thanks for the email, man. Pretty unnerving being there with your boy beside you in the tent and having something like that go down. Oh my God. And we will keep going, and we're not going to stop, and we're going to find the answers and at least try to make sense, a lot more sense than we have been to date of what the hell's going on. But more importantly, so we're going to get everybody heard, get the truth out there, and get it known. And too bad we couldn't do this with every single truth on the planet, right? Too bad. But we're getting there. Maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the year we get some real crazy hard answers delivered to us in ways that make it a little easier for the average human mind to accept. Right? Not all people can accept testimonies. You know what I mean? For some weird, strange reason. I don't know why. I don't know why. I wonder who the first person was to convince the herd not to trust somebody. Who was the first one to cross that line in a community and screw everybody over? Because it sure has become a popular thing to do, right? Unfortunately. But anyway, thanks again, man. We won't stop. We're going to keep going. Who's next? Okay, I'm still using my old phone here. My current, newer phone, it keeps shutting down when it goes online. Sarah's convinced somebody's messing with my electronics. I don't know. But it is what it is, so I'm trying to make do here. Now, Hey Steve, my story is similar to the second story you read on December 9th, 20. I never saw the thing, but I could smell it and hear it. We just moved to the Mount Hood National Forest. I worked in Portland and drove 38 miles each way, 5 to 7 days a week. It was around March, I think. Anyway, I came home at about 2 a.m. from my swing shift job as a tool maker. My wife had fallen asleep on the couch. The porch light was on. There were 2 doors on the front of my house. One enters into the living room, one to the laundry room. We have a carport that covers the laundry room entrance, and at the time we had no cover for the front door to the living room, but that's the door we always used, rain or shine. This entrance is closer to the embankment that goes up to Highway 26. You can see the tops of trucks going into town from the deck you stand on to enter the door. That's the closest to the side of the house, where the light doesn't shine. That was 23 years ago, and I don't remember why we used that as our primary entrance. Anyway, that changed after this night. I pulled in the long driveway, saw nothing out of the ordinary, but when I exited the vehicle, I caught the smell of something that just wasn't quite right. It wasn't quite a skunk or a smelly musky bear, but more a dead, rotting skunk type smell. That was indeed overpowering. It stunk to high heaven. Then I heard a sound like a grunt, like growl or something that I've never heard before or since, and that left me effing scared shitless. I know the local wildlife. I grew up there and lots of time fishing and seen the animals around here and heard them. I know the usual guests, and my wife likes to feed everything that moves up here. So there I was, standing alone in the near dark of the forest. The light was just a 60-watt light bulb in the pitch black night that did little more than lit up the key slot in the door at the time of the night. No gun on me, no nothing. I started trying to open the door. My hands were shaking and I dropped my effing keys. So I started pounding on the door. This pissed off the being, and it made some verbal sounds, and I hit the effing door again, banging on it, screaming for my wife to open the door. I wasn't about to bend over and make self a smaller target. That's when it started moving. It was hiding in the dark about 3/4 of the way up the bank, but behind the house where I wouldn't see it. About halfway between the highway and my house. I could hear the branches snap and the footsteps, but the sheer speed, this thing, and the size of it you could hear as it ran, coupled with the fact that you couldn't see it, had freaked me the F out. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. It ran from behind the house, down the bank, and out to the drain field and beyond in about 8 to 10 steps. A distance of maybe 40 yards, snapping branches and muttering something I couldn't understand. So this distance was no more than 10 yards south of the door. The light was shining on the area, and my attention was glued to watching the progress by the trees moving and the brush move. Why could I see the branches move, hear them snap like twigs, yet not see it? Finally, after it's out of my immediate area, my wife answers the door, yelling at me. "Why are you banging on the door?" I rushed in the house. She could see the fear on my face. She saw the bushes shaking too and heard it running away too. But her conclusion is it's just a bear. I'll tell you, these things are real. She doesn't think so. I'm starting to recall the details now and it still bothers me. And I ain't afraid of a damn thing. Panic is not in my nature at all. But the fear I felt that night was amazing to me. I fear no animal, or man at all. I have no desire to tangle or dance, if you will, with major carnivores, but all out of fear, no. I've seen some weird things too. Rh negative blood. I grew up in a haunted house, doors opening and things moving on their own. Paranormal shit. Yes, I've seen a full-bodied apparition in my bedroom coming towards me in bed. I've heard demonic noises in that house as well. I've had a demon try to take possession of my body or some sort of entity from childhood to just this year, just like a sleep paralysis demon and nightmares that continue to this day. I swear I have PTSD from these dreams, as they are so vivid in color and so real. I've had dreams of being awake and then waking from that dream. My dreams are not like others I've ever heard of. How many can say the dreams of falling? Have you ever heard of them hitting the ground? I have. I have the dream of drowning and hold my breath, then learn to breathe in the water. I have dreams of the shadow people to attack me, only to become light myself, a blinding white light, and feel the wings upon my back like an angel. I tear the shadow people apart like paper. I've exorcised demons from the possessed in my dreams. I'm able to recognize evil and expel it from my dreams. Anyway, I'm telling this because I know fear. I know terror. I know what I felt that night, and it still strikes me hard that I allowed myself to feel that fear. When I was a kid, those paranormal events used to frighten me. Since I am the youngest in our family, I was the one crying and begging the other kids to stop playing with that crap. It's not to be toyed with at all, but some learn harder than others. Since that night, I've heard the Sabé scream in a crowded campground of all places. The next morning, some campers were asking, "Did you hear the elk?" I've heard elk, and yes, sometimes in the dark at night, they can have an eerie sound, but the ground doesn't shake with a bipedal footfall when they walk. I just kept my mouth shut. I know this sounds like bullshit, Steve. My dreams are indeed outrageous. I know how ridiculous this sounds, how utterly ludicrous and insane these things may seem. But this is the truth, as I've lived it. I don't question it for 1 second, my man. Appreciate you emailing that in, Chris. And you know what, Chris? If your wife's having a tough time with this topic, just send her this video. Ask her if she'd watch it, and she will soon realize that, you know what? A few 100,000 people can't be all on the same lives, right? Your dreams, I'm sure a lot of people have crazy dreams. I've had some crazy dreams, but not the extent you've mentioned here. I don't envy you. I wouldn't want those dreams. The demon, that department over there, the demons, the devil, how am I trying to say? Sorry, you guys. You know, the demon possession, the exorcisms, all that sort of creepy stuff that, you know, some of those movies were popular when I was a kid and they were terrifying. We weren't allowed to watch them. I didn't want to watch them. It really spooked the shit out of me. And that topic still does today. I just kind of don't want anything to do with it, although I do know it exists. It's far too common. There's huge patterns there that go back a long time. I don't want nothing to do with it. I got enough on my plate. So I do not envy your dreams, man. But thanks for sending that in. That reminds me, your description, I'll tell you, I shared another first-hand encounter with a friend of mine, very A-type contractor in Whistler, British Columbia. We were both contractors at the same time, and original Kiwi, and he told me, he kind of laughed at this topic, but, right? So many people laugh at the topic, but this one time, and it was him and another guy who I know were tubing and trout fishing in Logger Lake, either Loggers or Logger Lake. You can Google that lake. It's just south of Whistler Blackcomb, okay? They're on that lake. And they, I guess on one side of the lake, there's rock or timbered hills, rocks, and a scree slope, whatever it is. And they were drinking, having fun. And they were in, and it got dark out, and they're still in the lake bobbing around, drinking whiskey and fishing and just having a good old time. And they were in the shadow from the moon light coming down on the lake, clear night. And when they came out of the shadow into the light, something was on the shore, and he said that it exploded out of there. Running, they could totally tell it was on 2 feet, but the size of the trees it was smashing were incredible, he said, as it ripped through those trees, and he said it sounded like and was going as fast as a frickin' horse. And if not the same size or bigger, and that's what they heard. They didn't see it, but they heard it. And he says there's no way it was a human being, but it was on 2 feet. And he says, so I don't know, because I don't believe in these things, but that's what we witnessed. I'm like, okay. Didn't see it, heard it, crazy. Real babble day today, isn't it? Okay, let's hear another one. Thanks again, Chris. Appreciate it, man. Make sure you get your wife to watch one of these videos anyway, alright? Help her along with her ride if she may be curious of what's really going on. Remembering Sasquatch things, topic at this one. Just offhand, glad to get my memories. I have no actual experience with Sasquatch. I've never encountered one in the woods, but I've had lots of paranormal experiences with Sasquatch. And by lots, I suppose I mean about a dozen. Plus some people who have spent time here with me have had the non-physical, the mental encounters also. I probably disparage this part of Indiana as a place of high strangeness but only because it is so much quieter here than the Ozarks in that sense. Great place for someone like me to retire. I know that Sasquatch or similar beings are a part of the local culture here. Also, there are legends of giants living in this region long ago, and the countryside is studded with mounds that are similar to the mounds in Cahokia, but smaller. One is about 3 miles from where I live. A highway crew a few years back was doing road work near one and bumped into it with a backhoe, accidentally uncovered a trove of silver artifacts. One of the guys picked up a piece and tried to keep it and wound up in prison for about 15 years. He should be out now. People take such things seriously. Huh? That sounds weird. I found a piece of silver in the ground and did 15 years time. We need to follow up on those details. The house where I lived used to belong to a retired FBI agent with an interest in the paranormal. I never met him, and he died years before I moved here. Had retired to Florida and sold this house to his granddaughter. Like several other retired intelligence people I actually have had contact with, he was a total believer in the supernatural and liked to experiment with it. His granddaughter told me this story. FBI guy, his wife, and his brother also had a cabin in a more remote part of Indiana. They would go there sometimes to do Ouija board and were serious about it. Red flag. Red flag meaning alarm, alarm, no thanks. I don't know what results they usually got. The Ouija has never worked for me, and I'm neither drawn to it nor afraid of it. I have a non-interest in Ouija, but I guess it fascinated the FBI guy. One night when they were trying to Ouija in the cabin, they heard something big rushing about in the forest outside, circling the cabin. Then whatever was there began throwing things at the cabin walls. Maybe rocks, maybe some sticks, and that's really all I know of the story. And apparently the FBI guy didn't talk about, nope, leave the rug alone there, good little girl. Then whatever was out there began throwing rocks at the cabin walls, maybe rocks and maybe sticks, and that's really all I know of the story. And apparently the FBI guy didn't talk about it in any more detail, but he quit playing with the Ouija. I guess he sold the cabin also, moved to Florida and died there. An entirely unrelated event came to mind. Something happened at least 3 times in the Ozarks. I slept in the summer in a room without AC, screen door at one end and an open window on the other. Hey! Screen door on one end and an open window on the other wall, so it was very much like sleeping outside. The forest was really close in the Ozarks in the summer. The night is full of sounds. Night insects, tree frogs, birds. The worst thing that can happen is that a whippoorwill decides to roost in the tree outside your window. Those bastards are up and loud. They'll sing all up at night. Plus, there's a really irritating glottal click that you only hear when they are close. Not my favorite bird. You want to sleep in spite of all this noise. Sometimes I would hear footsteps in the dry leaves just outside the window. Sounded like human footsteps, 2 feet and not 4. Any hunter knows the patterns are different. Something would come up to the window, pause there, and after a while move on. Also, there was a smell associated with this, and often it was the smell that woke me up. It has to be a really strong smell to wake me up, because if I got to sleep in spite of the noise, I didn't respond much. I've tried to describe this smell to others, and the best description I have is just imagine if you're sitting in an old-fashioned outhouse in August and someone had puked on the outhouse floor. Probably means nothing to modern people, but when I was a kid, up until maybe age 10, our family of 5 had an outhouse, and I know the smell. My dad used to get terribly upset if I left the lid up because the chickens would jump down there to eat the maggots and then leave tracks on the seat when they came out. Gross! Yes, that sort of smell, but worse. Gave me dry heaves. I'm about to cut one of those loose in a minute here too. Along with this was a kind of a mental communication. Whoever this was meant me no harm. I was seriously ill at the time, and the doctors at the VA were not helping me. Gave me medicine that made the problem worse. Intestinal ulcers it was. When this being visited, I would have a mental image of a man in a white robe standing in the room and looking at me. And then I would get advice as to what to eat and how to deal with this problem. I don't know for sure if that mental image was accurate, but the advice worked. And I got well because I took the advice seriously. Ate quite a lot of lard that summer. Thanks for your channel. I'm having to take a break from the stories now. Some are true accounts, some are not. I have a garden to plant. I need to go fishing. Jimmy. Okay, Jimmy, thanks for the stories, man. The outhouse is a little descriptive. Reminds me of a time when we rode into guide camp in the middle of freaking nowhere. Northern British Columbia, Northern Rockies. 2 days to ride in there. And then we're cracking open camp because in the off season you nail all the windows shut in the cabin door, and then we put pieces of plywood with hundreds of nails sticking up in front of each window and the door so that bears won't come and try to kick in the windows and the doors, which they will, right? We also throw mothballs all over the floor in the cabin. Bears can't stand mothballs, just so you guys know. But anyway, our outhouse, one fall, a bear dug underneath the steps. I already blew the step away in the outhouse and dug underneath the outhouse and went into the hole, and he hibernated in there all winter. Can you imagine how disgusting is that? I don't know if it was a black bear or a grizzly bear. If it was a grizzly, it was a smaller one. But either way, a bear dug his way into the hole under our outhouse in the Northern Rocky Mountains, and he cuddled himself up and slept until springtime. Animals are funny, right? They're funny beasts. Now, what do I get Now I wonder if this phone, there's no internet out here hooked up for Wi-Fi. I wonder if this phone is going to last long enough for me to share some voices. I'll get one more shared here. Where am I going? Alright, here we go. Quote. The title of this is, quote, "They would have found one by now or caught them on trail cams," end quote, LOL. Don't forget your headlamp. That's the title of this email. Hello Steve, this is a little long-winded. Please bear with me. There are 4 accounts and I'm not likely to write again. I've watched your channel since I stumbled across your hunting videos. Before the Bigfoot stuff. I've loved hunting and fishing since forever. Anyways, getting to the time period of the experiences, I would guess the late 90s. I'm still not certain of the experiences I've had, that is, whether or not it was a Bigfoot / Sabe, but pretty damn sure now though, LOL. They were in the same region within 20 miles or so. Up till this time, the only hunting I'd done was with a rifle or shotgun. So I was invited by a friend on a rifle deer hunt here in Northern California, where I ended up meeting another dear friend. I won't mention his name because of his rare name alone. Plus, the area I'll mention would give him away. On this hunt, this new friend asked if I was interested in bow hunting for blacktail and muleys on rare occasion. Of course, I jumped at the opportunity. I've always wanted to try bow hunting. Hey, come over here. Come over here. Come over here. Come here, you big goon. Come over here. Alright, she's getting restless and she's got just enough lead to hit the tripod and she's going for it. Sorry. My new friend had been hunting this area for 25 or 30 years. Had several tree stands, permanent and temporary. Coincidentally, a few weeks later, after this rifle hunt, on a visit to the chiropractor, he said he had a bow for sale. We ended up having the same draw length, so needless to say, I was an expert by the following year, LOL. But to my credit, after a few weeks, I could put 4 or 5 hours in the bullseye at 40 yards. That's all you need. These trails / tree stands were water trails that were a quarter mile or so from Last Chance Creek, above the town of Chester, around the mud. What are you doing? Goofball. You're all tangled up. Here, get that off your leg. There you go. Chew your bone. There you go. Sorry, guys. So, fast forward a year. Not sure of the year, but after buying the bow, I never missed a hunt in the C-zone, for I would guess at least 10 years straight. The first rifle hunt up there we camped on, Last Chance Creek, my buddy's camp. Hey! Stop it. I don't want to fight right now. Play. That lasted only 1 year with me before the logging code kicked everyone out of their lease. So, the next year, my first bow hunt, my buddy scouted and found us a new camp near the area that was in National Forest. First encounter area / camp, an old logging road / skid that goes down a half a mile or so from a bigger dirt road. Don't remember the name. Okay, something most of the roads up there are K, then a number, and a very small creek at the end camp area. Not a big creek, almost dry on low water years. Not a real popular spot with most people because of the overgrown thistle thorn bushes that line both sides of the road. It was severely pinstripe a vehicle on one trip down, LOL. The reason I mention this is most people would turn around before entering. Plus, we hung a paper plate, dead end camp. My buddy was set camp a week or 2 before the season to scout because he lived within 35 minutes of the area, something he did for years. I never gave Bigfoot a thought even during or after these experiences until he started the Bigfoot talk. First experience with my buddies. I pulled into camp 1 year. He wasn't there. Strange. Said he would be. He showed up later and told me he had something strange happen 2 nights prior and slept last night at his house. Hey, leave that alone. Alright, the dog's getting to be a little too much here. Just hold on a minute, okay? Hold on. I asked him what happened. He said he was awoken in the tent in the middle of the night to a god-awful stink. Nothing he'd ever came close to smelling before. He said he almost puked and was more than a little freaked out. This is the most thick-skinned, woodsy guy I know. I mentioned bear, skunk. He laughed and was oddly quiet. He laughed and was oddly quiet after that, but he was happy I was there, ready to hunt. I pitched my tent next to the creek. This spot was major old growth, huge firs. Second experience. In the tent, same spot, not sure if it was the same year. In this camp, when the lanterns went out, the deer came out, most nights anyway. You could hear their hooves, but not this night, just dead quiet. I started hearing the heavy footfalls, slow, heavy. Could feel it in the ground. Not familiar to me. Maybe a huge grizzly or an elephant, lol. Never heard those anyway, but it sounded bipedal, but moving slow enough that I blew it off as a bear. Not too worried, just strange. Then, not sure how much later, not asleep yet, from the side of the tent, this, I don't know, deer snout? That was about the size of it, poked slowly in towards my face. My face, maybe a foot from the side of the tent, doesn't touch me, but comes as close as it could without. I'm frozen. I'm staring straight at it. Deer snout or not, I'm damn near shitting myself. Later, after breathing again, I blew it off as a deer taking a sniff, without the sniff. Probably big finger, right? Third experience, bear with me on this one, it's long. Okay, not so sure how many years later, but most of our best stand/area got clear cut. Devastating to my friend, although we still had a couple of stands, the best were gone, including one very old good stand he and his daughter found and built together. Many bucks took from that stand. Anyway, that was it for him. This is a popular area to find good old spots like those next to impossible, and he was too pissed off and upset to try. So, he told me of a woodcutting spot across the lake from Chester by Canyon Dam that he had seen several bucks in. Not nearly the amount of deer as the other spot, but no stand hunters in there, just the occasional road hunters. So, he'd like to try the area. So we hung stands. I got my second archery deer there, but the deer weren't always in that area from year to year. We're in the new area this fall, no deer sign. He decides to scout further around this area. Okay, I tell him I'm going to take a ride up above Chester to our old camp. If no one was camped in there, I wanted to hang a temporary stand close to the creek. We always saw a lot of deer sign in there. So nobody camped there. Great. I take a walk across the creek and up a bit, find a great trail littered with buck tracks and buck shit. I see a spot on the trail where it comes out of a bit of a thicket. A couple feet past the thicket is a log. Trail goes over the log. The log was all hooved up. That's the spot. I start looking around for a good tree within range of the log/trail, and there it is. Good tree, good cover on it. Hang the stand, peg the tree. I think I gave it a few days or a week before hunting it. Not sure, been a few years. But after hanging the stand, I'm sitting in the seat, get my rangefinder out. The log on the trail is 20 yards exactly. I remember thinking that buck is going to come out of the small trees and stop and look before he jumps that log and make his way into the open. I was really excited. At the same time, I've been creeped out since. I pulled in there like I'm being watched. But this spot has always been that way, especially after the tent incident and my buddies. So, day of the hunt. I park on top of the upper road, walk down the road to the spot. It's 4 a.m.-ish, give or take, dark as shit. I get in the stand, eyes adjusting to the dark. I'm staring at the spot the log should be, can't see shit yet. As it gets lighter, I see something brighter than the log. A few minutes go by, what the F? There's a dead doe laying on the log. I can't tell you how up and odd I felt at this time. I make the decision to wait it out, who knows? If it's a cat, I'm going to drill it, but no blood that I can see. It's not blotted. And the way it was laid over the log just honestly looked and felt like an offering, like something knew my plan. As I'm thinking, it's getting light now, something catches my eye up on the hill. I kind of looked, but wasn't really sure where the motion was. It had just caught my eye. A second or two later, again this time I turned fast to the spot to see what looked like a face going back behind a tree. It was so fast I thought I was just making it up. Like maybe it was a branch moving. I rubbed my eyes and looked intently for a minute, at least. I never saw anything again. Figured I was seeing things. Okay, an hour or so later, I've got to see this doe. Down I go, over to the log. Nice, clean, young doe. Not old, no blood, no punctures anywhere. Doesn't look sick. I'm looking for cat tracks, but don't see any. Remember, at this time, Harry and the Hendersons is all I know about the BF, so not really looking for the sign. So, Steve, can a cat kill a deer without leaving a mark, or even any hair? Okay, so I still would like to hunt the stand, so I drag the doe off maybe 50 yards side hill away from the trail, opposite side away from my stand. As I'm about to leave, I hear a fawn crying and circling above me, and the dead doe/mom. So in my mind, a cat snapped her neck without any mark or any hair out of place. As odd as this may sound to anyone, I can't come close to how odd I felt about the feeling of being observed and how much that deer felt like an offering. So much more to say, but trying to get it all down. Fourth experience. Okay, not sure of the year. Back in our new spot. Hey, no, don't. Okay, you gotta leave that alone. All right, leave that alone. Nope, nope. Okay, not sure of the year. Back in our new spot, Canyon Dam. Again, not a lot of sign this year. I have a temporary stand and camp not being used, so I go looking for a new spot. I head east from Canyon Dam towards Greenville, maybe a mile or two away. From Canyon Dam, I take a dirt road up the hill. They're logging up that road, lots of trucks, big mile marker signs, maybe 6 or 8 miles. I come to a creek coming down the hill on the right with an old slash not being used logging / skid road heading up the left side. I follow it in maybe a mile or two, give or take. On the way in, I see a couple of guys working a claim on the creek. They were a ways down off the road, too far to talk to. I remember getting a funny look from them, like laughing. Dude, you don't want to be around up there. Hindsight, anyway. I make my way all the way till the road becomes overgrown with buckbrush, doe brush, don't know the right name, is thick, the stuff you have to swim through. I get out of the truck, start heading through the thick shit. I go around the side of the road to avoid the brush, but it's steep on both sides and brushy too. So, about 150 yards or so through the shit, in and out of thicker spots, it opens up to a few steep draws, all ending to a small old landing / flat with the same creek coming down one of the draws on the right. This flat has a huge old pile of big logs from past logging. By the way, why do they do that? So, I walk up the creek to the end of the draws. Great trail. They're crossing the creek and branching off into each draw. Pounded with fresh tracks. Okay, found my spot. Hang stand, peg tree. Not sure how long I waited to hunt this new spot. But morning of the hunt, I make my way up the road to the overgrown brush. Out of the truck, getting all my stuff ready to hike in. Shit, forgot my headlamp. Back to the tent. Back at the tent. So I have an old handheld I take, in which sucks, because instead of a free hand for my sidearm, now I'm holding the light. Bow in the other hand, dropped over the back of my neck. 4 a.m.ish, again, dark as shit. I'm guessing I'm 15 to 20 yards from the tree. First time coming in there in the dark. God awful scream right behind me. High pitched, sounding like a cat at first. Weird though, it was going up in octaves with a kind of a slow vibrato. Hope I'm using the right terms here. But at the same time getting louder. Never got deep sounding though. My instinct was to shoot at it with my flashlight, lol. Not funny at the time. So glad I had the bow over my neck. I'm so beyond shitting myself at this point. And close enough to the tree that I'm not going to turn around. Whatever it is, it sounds as scared as I was. So, it's up the tree I go. And shit you not, I don't remember grabbing the pegs. I know for sure I missed a few. I effing flew / floated up that tree, grabbing the bark as I was missing some of the pegs on the way up. Had my arm through the bowstring. F the tote rope at this point, kicking my bow with my knee once or twice to keep it from hanging up on the tree or pegs. I'm 6 foot 250. I'm telling you, I levitated up that tree. Okay, waiting to get my first breath in what seemed like 10 minutes sitting in the seat. Find my light, shine it down at the spot, nothing. Okay, so after an hour or so, it's light now. It's light now. My mind has written it off as the strangest cat noise ever. Hey, settle down. I know you're frustrated. Give me a minute. Almost done. Not sure how much later. Never heard a peep out of anything in there, or nor a squirrel, birds, nothing. Or a deer, sadly. Okay, so as if that wasn't enough fun, out of the dead silence, I swear on my family's lives. Hey, come here. Give me a minute. Dawn for all over. Sorry, guys. Okay, so if that wasn't bad, wasn't enough fun, out of the dead silence, I swear on my family's lives, something grabs my ankle. A fear/shock went through me like I can't explain. If I hadn't had a safety harness, I would have launched out of that tree. I swung around, down to look behind me, nothing. No squirrel noises, nothing. Swung around to the other side, nothing. Whatever it was gave me a big, intentional, but not overly hard grab. All at once, like his hand was already around my ankle but not touching, then grab. F me running. I have so many more thoughts on these experiences, Steve, but I've added more than enough. I hope you and all the club can fill in the intent of these experiences as I've alluded to. Sorry for the backstory, Steve, but it's my story and I couldn't seem to shorten it up anymore. P.S. I seriously don't remember pulling the stand, but it's been years. I remember on the way out of there seeing the time in my truck and thinking there seemed to be 3 or 4 hours unaccounted for. I don't know. Until I heard the stories from people, I hadn't put any of these puzzle pieces in the Bigfoot file. Never said anything to anyone until your channel. Thanks for all for giving me some relief in these experiences. I wouldn't say it has kept me out of the woods or traumatized me too bad. Life itself has gotten in the way of hunting, not completely, but it'll be different now for sure. As far as politics, all I can say is something very sinister and evil has shrouded this land since, I don't know, I was born in '64, I would say late 80s. There's always been evil in the world for sure, but with today's tech it seems to be ramping up and cloaked. I try to stay positive and be a good testimony to people. I pray for this country and God's family every night. When they come for my guns, they'll probably get them, but they won't. There won't be any ammo left. I don't care what anyone thinks. These happenings were understated, if anything. I just hope they help, like y'all's have helped me. Holy shit! Okay, man, that was a. I don't know if it was long, it was just because I was interrupted and distracted by the dog going bonkers beside me, and she just broke loose from her little lead I had in the corner here, and she's in the shop doing God only knows what. So I gotta get going. You're not the only one to have had your ankle grabbed in the stand. We even had one guy who was in the stand and something hawked a big loogie on the back of his neck, and I think he was like 15 feet in the frickin' air. That is brutal, right? And I can picture the timber you're in. I'm in big, huge fir trees with monster bark on them all the time, and I don't sit in stands myself. The deer I chase just do not, the bucks don't use the same trails. I go after them, but it's nothing to hide behind those huge trees, right? For something to duck behind it. Who knows? Each time you looked around, it could have been pivoting. You never know, but who knows? I haven't a clue. There's so many weird things going on directly related to these beings. It's silly. And they pull off things that we typically think that anything shouldn't be able to pull off, right? But anyway, man, thanks again for sending that in. I hope I didn't butcher too badly while reading it. It wasn't the easiest read with knucklehead here at my feet trying to bite my toes and chew up shit. And I gotta get going. I gotta get in and get Sarah out for her Easter breakfast. There's no kids here this weekend, so it's just us. I gotta get going. I'm glad you shared the locations there. You probably helped somebody. Hopefully this helped you. I'm glad you still hunt. So much I could say, but I gotta bite my lip and keep moving here. Anyway, I guess I can go, I'll go have a look at a quick glance at the GoFundMe link that we've been sharing and hoping that our club members will take care of this. we're doing a pretty good job. I'd imagine. I looked at the comment section and the GoFundMe link, and it predominantly is from all of you. So that's a pretty cool thing to see, that power in motion, making something happen. And it'll be interesting to see the outcome of the results. I don't know if I'm going to sign the NDA or not. I'm sure I'll be informed. I'm sure, of course I will. But once I get a chance, I'll download it and do whatever I have to do to continue on our end of the bargain, right? But more importantly, we're going to help this GoFundMe goal get smashed, and we're going to hopefully receive in return a pile of confirmed facts that we all deserve to know about. The whole world deserves to know about it. And when we come across the people trying to stop it, we're going to stop them. Right? Anyway, happy Easter out there, you guys. Be safe. Keep emailing me in what you need to get off your chest or knowledge that you are willing to share with the people to help them. And email it to sharemystory@howtohunt.com. And again, I'll share that link to Melba's DNA study down below. I don't think if we haven't smashed it yet, I don't think we're too far away from smashing it. So hopefully the last handful of us that are hoping to donate and help that out will do it today. We can get that going and get those answers sooner than later, right? None of us are getting any younger. Anyway, I'll be back shortly. Appreciate you all.